Hello, hi everyone, Cryptic Hybrid, and this is Harriet Fox and the Phantom Exotica. Now, Harriet Fox and the Phantom Exotica is a visual novel that's set in the late 19th century and has you playing a detective who's investigating the disappearance of a precious artifact. Now, this is a game that was developed for the Toad House visual novel game jam, and it's on itch.io, and we're gonna check it out together because it looks really cool. New game. I hardly need give an introduction for Miss Harriet Fox, the consulting detective. During my time in her service, I have been fortunate to witness her at work on a number of cases. Many of these have been featured with no small prominence in the chronicles of the day. However, the events I am about to relate have gone all but unnoticed to the world at large. My tale begins on a bleak spring morning in 1895. My mistress and I had had an early start, for there had been a robbery at Culpepper house, and our presence has been requested most urgently. I suspect we would not have gone, but for a telegram from an old friend who pleaded his case. Miss Fox remarked to me before our embarking that she was doubtful that the case would provide any points of interest whatsoever. The prospect of a common burglary held no appeal to her, lacking as it did the sordid intrigue of the gruesome, premeditated affairs to which she was more accustomed. Because, she's a cool detective. She's not, just gonna investigate a robbery. What we uncovered, however, was no mere opportunist. Act 1. Act 1, Scene 1. Miss Harriet Fox to see you, sir.
Ah, Miss Fox. Brought you out of your den, have we?
And at a fine hour too, Mr. Culpepper, I assume?
The very same. I had so hoped you would have joined us yesterday. But then, I suppose a soiree isn't so much to your liking as a crime scene.
I see that my reputation precedes me.
Well, I'm terribly sorry to have caused you the trouble, but we appear to have it just about wrapped up. The constable has already found his man.
Oh, the constable? Who? Oh.
No need to trouble yourself with this one, Fox. I think you'll find I've just about put the bow on it.
Inspector Cuthbert Graham. Why am I not surprised?
It's a pleasure to see you again, Miss Fox. I see the years have been kind.
As much a pleasure as always, yes. And your man?
Nah. And it's this gent's right here.
Oh, it's this gent. You're Miss Fox, are you? I'm she, and you are? Rupert Berrycloth, miss. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, if only it could have been under happier circumstances. Unhappy for us both, certainly. I am about to be deprived of my investigation and you of your freedom. Miss Fox, I beg you, I will not ask you to believe me on word alone, but please do not let the police take me unchallenged. I'm innocent, I swear.
And I suppose you're going to take him at his word, eh?
It's odd of you to ask, Inspector. You're normally not one to wait on my opinion.
It's true. We've not seen eye to eye in the past, but I think you'll agree that I'm on the right track this time. It's a simple case, Miss Fox. They can't all be worse novels. So if it means hearing the great Harriet Fox concede to me, I'm more than happy to wait a while.
If it's his pride that gives me the time I need, so be it. I'll have plenty of opportunity to deflate him soon enough. Well then, Inspector, perhaps you would be so good or so kind as to give me the details.
It'll be my pleasure, Miss Fox. I think you already know that Mr. Culpepper here has been planning an auction for some knickknacks of his.
Culpepper's luck at the gambling table caught up with him. I shouldn't wonder.
Last night, as part of that, you see, I gather you were invited?
Yes, I was. I was otherwise engaged, you understand?
Of course. I'm sure you have many demands on your time.
A book and a nice fireplace, to be precise. She just didn't want to go.
Well, that's where the skull comes into the picture. The crown jewel of Mr. Culpepper's collection, I hear.
Quite so, the skull of an ichthyosaur, a creature that has been extinct for untold eons. The very same fossil, in fact, that was discovered not far from here in Lyme Regis some 80 years ago. It is the fossil that ignited the nation's interest in paleontology. Who knows how much the sciences have advanced from the discovery of this one artifact. It is a mark in two histories. First, to the world that predates our own by millennia. Well, actually, more than millennia. Millennia is an understatement. And secondly, to our own history. Quite a collectible. Perhaps we can pique your interest yet, Miss Fox. I'll have my fill of old fossils by the time I'm done with your merry band, Culpepper. We'll see. You were saying, Graham?
It's the skull that's been stolen, miss. The theft was discovered in the early hours.
I see. And Berrycloth?
Well, it's no secret that he is at some hard times of late. He left just after dinner. Said he had some business to take care of.
Good thing he did. There was quite a storm last night, wasn't there?
Indeed.
Loughty ended up staying the night. I couldn't have had him go through that awful weather. Loughty. Loughty? Ah, my apologies, yes. Loughty's a good friend. You'll meet him later on, I'm sure. And as for Berrycloth, you suspect him for motive alone?
Take me for a fool, do you? See over here.
A little observation never goes amiss. If I drag the mouse cursor to the side of the screen, I can take a look around the room. The window? Oh, this is... okay. So let me assume that this is where the skull was. Right? And this is a broken window. Okay.
Smash it bits. That's how we know it could have only been him.
Really? Because anyone can break a window.
Everyone else who knew about the skull was already inside. He is the only one who'd need to break it to get in.
I never broke that window.
You there. Do you have any problems with the urchins?
Terribly sorry, sir. I'm afraid I don't grasp your meaning.
The ruffians. Youth, vandals, flinging rocks at your windows?
Oh, no, sir. We haven't had any sort of trouble of that sort.
Anyway. Well, there you go then. We've got a window breaker and only one fella who'd have had reason to do it.
Is that so? Very well, Inspector. I think I understand the crux of your argument. Let's see how it holds up.
Oh, I've been looking forward to this. I know your tricks, Fox. See how you find your way out of this one.
Well, this shouldn't take long. I simply need to find a flaw in the Inspector's theory. Well, one thing that's pretty obvious, right, is that... I mean, the window's broken, but you can see, like, shards outside. So, that would suggest that the window was broken from the inside. So someone threw something or, punched it, whatever, something happened that broke the window and the shards, went the other direction, went outside. If someone from outside would have broken it, all the shards would have been in. So, it's a setup. And then present evidence against it. Okay, and if I feel like this, like subjecting myself to more of this hypothesis, I can always press him for more information. Alright, the Inspector's theory. Let's see it.
The facts of the matter are clear to me. The skull, as we all know, is worth a pretty penny. To Mr. Berrycloth over here, it's where he stick it out of a sticky little bind. He made an excuse and left in the afternoon, but returned later on with criminal intent. The shattered window is proof that he broke in while everyone else was asleep.
Well, he didn't break in, so let's present. A brooch in the shape of a dove, broken but holds sentimental value to me. Okay, how's that related to the case? A clipping from the newspaper. There was a powerful storm in the area last night. Well, we know that. Someone smashed this window last night. The garden is littered with broken glass. Okay, so this is it, yeah. That's the clue, because it's littered, the garden's littered with broken glass. So, the shattered window is your proof?
What I said, miss, is the only point of entry for the thief.
Well, that's impossible.
Come again?
One look at this window would show you that it's impossible for the thief to have broken in through here.
Oh, come on, Miss Fox. This ain't a Bank of London. Even a scrapper like him could have broken this glass.
You are missing my point. There is one particular aspect about this window that you've overlooked.
And what's that then?
The broken glass. Yes. What was used to break it? Well, I don't know what was used to break it. It's the glass itself, Inspector. If the window had been broken from outside, it would be strewn around your ankles right now. And yet, the remnants of the panel are only to be found without. In other words, whoever broke the window did it from inside the house.
Huh? They broke the glass on the way out?
Precisely, and since Berrycloth had already left the manor, he is the only person who could not have broken this window.
Ah.
The window was broken from within? That means... Indeed, this broken window confirms one thing for us. The perpetrator was, and still is, in this very manor.
Nice.
Well, that was easy so far. You're not suggesting one of us could be the culprit? That seems to be the only logical conclusion. As you yourself noted, the manor was beset by a storm last night. Anyone foolhardy enough to venture far would have been lucky to survive, and yet all are accounted for. Constable?
What's it now then?
It's just, you're still got me handcuffed.
Oh, alright then. Seems you've got me poked up again, Miss Fox.
I spared you the paperwork of making an arrest under false pretenses. If you'd care to stay for a while, Inspector, it's quite possible that I'll be able to deliver you the true culprit.
You'd like that, wouldn't you? Nah, I think I'll be getting back. They're bound to be missing me at the precinct. There's more crime in this country than can be solved by one woman, you know?
Right. Well, I wouldn't want to detain you then.
I'll be off then. Gentlemen?
And ladies. Safe travels, Inspector. Right this way, sir. Act 2. Yeah, because we still have to find who did it. Perhaps I was wrong, Ida. There may yet be something of interest in here. Do you suspect one of them, mistress? It's just the two of us. Just the two of us. Hattie. I don't normally get to call you that outside of the house. Oh. But you haven't answered my question. You know I'm not fond of conjecture. I prefer to build my cases on data, on facts, and luckily for us this room has plenty of data to offer. I don't see it. It looks tidy. Indeed, the room is well kept, which makes those few things that are out of place all the more instructive. For instance, look over here, that gleam at the base of that bookshelf. Ah, I missed that. It was in the shadow. The sun was has only just moved enough to give it away. What is it? A key, and if I'm not much mistaken... Yes, it fits the display case perfectly. That's the case that had the skull in it, right? Quite, and since there are no signs of damage on the case itself, it stands to reason that this key was used to open the case when the skull was stolen. It's somewhat tarnished too, it isn't new. So it has to be the original, not a copy. And there's more. Look at the floor around the case itself. I see it, some sort of residue. Ash. In a room so as immaculate as this, there is ash around the display case. It must have been left recently. Looks like we're starting to get a picture of who our thief is. Indeed, I would like to talk to Loughty. He's the only other person who could be involved. Culpepper, Loughty, and Berrycloth. It's one of them. Is it? What do you mean? You don't see it? Have I, a humble maid, chanced upon a detail that the great Harriet Fox has overlooked? I'm all ears, dearest. It's simple. The butler did it.
Yeah, that's...
Well, you didn't think about him, did you? Who else would have access to the key, and we can find out in short order if he smokes? I just realized that I never told you. I'm quite certain that the butler is innocent. His name is Albion Dryden. And he... well... he was my fiancé. What? Pardon me, ma'am. Albion, let's not stand on ceremony. Harriet, it's good to see you again. Excuse me, do I need to be concerned about this?
Why, because you're lovers?
Ida, please. Albion, Miss Ida Everly. Charmed. Nice to meet you. Harriet, a telegram has arrived for you. Ah, yes, thank you. As I suspected. What is it? Just a response to a little inquiry I sent out while Berrycloth was saying his farewells. But that can wait. Ida, you wanted to know how I was certain that Dryden would not resort to illicit means to attain a fortune? It is quite simple. If he were so inclined, I would be his wife. That was a long time ago, Harriet. I don't need to tell you that hard times can make a gentle soul turn wicked. Allow me to have faith, Albion. What happened? Well, he saved me. You know that my parents were wealthy. As their daughter, I wanted for nothing, and yet I did not care for their ideas of how a daughter should behave. They saw fit that I should be married to a man I barely knew, one wealthy child to another. I protested, but their minds were made up. If I did not find a husband, one would be found for me. So you found Mr. Dryden? Well, we were already friends, and he was in a similar situation. So he proposed to me, quite romantically, I'm led to believe. And then we ran. We melted down the bars of our cages, and from then forged new lives. But Albion paid a price. He was born to be served, not to serve, and he gave it away for me.
What does that mean? Like he lost his money?
It doesn't do well to dwell, Harriet. You have your freedom, and I have my living. Forgive the bluntness, Albion, but that might not last. There must be a reason that Culpepper chose to hold this auction, and I doubt it's a spring cleaning.
I couldn't comment, but you are not far off.
Ever the faithful servant. Well, is there anything else you can tell me? As it so happens, yes. I saw fit to inspect the broken window from the garden earlier, and found a bust wedged into the grass. The rain must have made the ground soft. It is quite well embedded. More than likely, I think that is what was used to break the window. Oh, did you find... Oh, I'm sorry. You're among friends, Miss Everly. Please, speak. Well, did you find any footprints? We could use them to identify the thief by his boot size. You've been reading the Strand far too often, dearest. Sadly, no. I would imagine that the rain removed any impression their feet may have made. Naturally, I checked the house for any muddy boot prints. It doesn't add up. By all accounts, the thief must have disappeared into the night. As you yourself had said, that would be quite impossible. Yesterday's storm had a ferocity beyond that of any in recent memory, and this manor is quite remote. If the thief did not take shelter, their chances would have been slim to none. Therefore, the thief must still be in the manor. I take it you've searched Loughty and Berrycloth's rooms? Most diligently. The skull was nowhere to be found, and it's quite sizable. It would be impossible to hide in some nook or cranny. Once you have removed the impossible, whatever remains, however unlikely... See, I'm not the only one who reads them. And yet removing the impossible leaves me with nothing. There must be some other piece of the puzzle, something that makes it all fit. Perhaps I can assist you there. I don't suppose you know much about Mr. Culpepper? Odd. Dryden's willing to loosen his tongue all of a sudden? No. Is there something I should know? Perhaps. Many years ago, he was well acquainted with a man called Emil Kaylock. Wait, that Emil Kaylock, the con man? The villain with 1,000 faces. I don't need to tell you that Kaylock's sordid career is an unbroken streak of crookery. There is no one more adept in ways of theft and fraud, no lock is too strong and no guard too tight. Each crime is more grandiose than the last. And all of a sudden his old associate winds up with a priceless fossil. I couldn't possibly comment, of course. His mouth's clamped shut again, but he wanted us to know that. I know there's more to this than you're letting on, Albion. That's all I wanted to say. I should be getting back. Actually, there is one more thing, Albion. Yes? The statues in this room are all covered with sheets. Why is that? A personal request from the master. I believe he found it slightly difficult to read with those faces staring at him. Their expressions are somewhat intense. The sculptor well, those passions read, which yet survive. What? That doesn't make sense. I see. Thank you. It has done me a world of good to see you, Harriet. Do be good to her, Miss Everly. He knows. He knows? Yeah, he knows that, you're together. Not to worry. He wasn't too enthusiastic to get married either, if you follow my meaning. Oh. Well, he's gay. That's it. Albion is gay. That's why he didn't want to get married. Well, alright. But still, I'm surprised I didn't notice it before. The skull of the ichthyosaur. What about it? No, I shouldn't speculate. That lead will work itself out in due course. In the meantime, there's still one person we haven't spoken to. And if my ears do not deceive me, we will not have long to wait. My, there you are, the spitting image of your likeness. That's reassuring. Mr. Loughty, I presume? Where are my manners? Tarquin Loughty, Loughty, my dear, truly a delight. Miss Fox, I hope you don't think it too far if I call myself an avid follower of your exploits. Why, I might even say that there are none who know more of your work save yourself than I. Better call the inspector back. This man is guilty of butchering his sentences. How I hoped you would have graced us with your presence yesterday. I felt it a trifle gauche, but I could not help but invite you. A young lady, unwed? How utterly terrible of me. You must think me such a scoundrel. What the? Oh, she's upset? Everly's upset because he's sitting on her? Excuse me, you said you were the one who sent the invitations? Well, certainly, this merry little gathering was my design. But perhaps I had better start at the beginning, if you have no objections? By all means, please. Well, you're no doubt aware that Culpepper intends to sell his fossil collection. Yes, a reluctant sale, I take it? Well, it's dreadful for me to say, but dear Culpepper has not had the greatest of luck at the poker table as of late. Of course, I'm sure that he is good for the money. I wouldn't dare to suggest otherwise. Do you mean to say that you are his creditor? Oh, no, I'm not. His demeanor changed all of a sudden. As it happens, Culpepper and I met in a private club in the St. James district, but no, he doesn't owe me any money from the gambling table. Well, not from the gambling table, right, but could be somewhere else. But money brings out such ugliness in even the most clear-hearted of fellows. Let us move on. Indeed. So, you're responsible for the auction? If you would forgive my audacity for saying so, I do have something of a silver tongue. And a nose for a similarly unusual color. I was certain that I could help my newfound friend fetch the supreme price for such a singular item. His own knowledge on the matter is rather superficial, you might say. He inherited it along with the rest of his collection. For all his tendencies to flatter, he can't seem to resist speaking ill of Culpepper when the opportunity presents itself. Well, maybe because they're not friends and he's just an opportunist? Because he looks that shady to me. A museum would have given him such a paltry sum. I was certain that he must hold out for a bidding war. I confess I had hoped for something of a greater turnout. The fates continue to turn a cruel eye on the old boy. Just about every person who might have the interest and the purse strings was otherwise engaged. poor Berrycloth was only here as a proxy for Gastrel. I understand he's abroad at present. Herbert Gastrel? The magnate, I guess. The same. Surprised he's still on his feet so much. He's at a dizzy old age. A man with only one desire in the world, to have what other people want. So, that's why Berrycloth was here. His meager purse would have prevented him from being useful to your plan. Oh, my dear Fox, you make it sound like I had some little intention in being here. Some ill intentions of being, for being here. Oh, be still, my beating heart. To be under the scrutiny of the Fox. I will surely faint. Oh, easy, Everly. Easy. Don't chillax. As it so happens, Loughty, I find your account of all this does worth a little scrutiny. Oh? It's too neat, too elegant to be the stuff of fate. Ah, Miss Fox, I didn't take you for one to operate on gut feelings. You are not mistaken, but I cannot make bricks without clay. And you, Mr. Loughty, are withholding that very same clay. I'm certain of it. Stay silent if you wish. I believe I hear footfalls approaching. My apologies, Miss Fox. One or two slight matters require my attention. Your timing is most agreeable, Culpepper. As it so happens, there is a single question I would like to ask of you. Of me? Well, certainly. What is it? There's something you don't want me to know, Loughty, but that secret isn't yours and yours alone. Mr. Culpepper, I would like to know... Let's see, about you and Emil Kaylock, about you and Albion Dryden, how you got the skull. Well, I mean, he got a skull as he inherited it. That's, let's ask about Emil. About your relationship with Emil Kaylock. Oh. Very well. I suppose you've heard that he and I were acquainted many years ago. We were both young schoolboys back then, acting as young schoolboys do. He always fancied himself a gall sneaker? What? Like to work his magic on the jammiest bits of jam, if you follow me? Regretfully, yes. Pardon me for asking, but when did you last see him? Like I said, when we were at school. We haven't spoken since. You had a falling out, I take it? What, is she suspecting that Loughty is Kaylock? I must say, this line of inquiry of yours seems most irregular, Miss Fox. But you are not wrong. I have not seen him in many years, and I am in no hurry to do so. I see. Thank you, Mr. Culpepper. I believe I am beginning to see daylight. Well, how exciting. Don't keep us in suspense, Miss Fox. What is your next move? Loughty's part in this story is just too convenient. He appeared just when Culpepper needed money and promptly set up this whole event in motion. It's quite simple, Miss Loughty. My next move is to ask you what you were doing here last night. Fallen silent again? That's fine. I already have proof that you were here last night. Because if you weren't, we wouldn't have found this. The key, the ash? The ash! Because he's smoking a pipe. And the ash was next to the case. Do you recognize it? One does not need my powers of observation to see that you are fond of your pipe, Miss Loughty. Mr. Culpepper, I don't suppose you partake. No, I can't say I do. He doesn't smoke. And Dryden is a capable chap. This should have been cleaned. But for the fact that it was left moments before this room became a crime scene. Well, Miss Loughty, perhaps you'd like to explain how this ash got here. As a matter of fact, I would. I don't suppose you've heard yet, Miss Fox, who exactly it was who first discovered the theft of the skull. No, I haven't. Well, wonder no more. It was me. What? Culpepper, is that true? It's true. Dryden was second on the scene. He went down when he heard Loughty shout about the theft. So, you see, Miss Fox, there's a perfectly good reason for that ash to be there. Ah, but I know what you're going to say. I'm a great admirer, I think you have mentioned, so it would be my delight to offer you a humble testimony. Smile all you want, Loughty. I know you were up to something. And your testimony will tell me exactly what it was. Loughty's testimony. Alright, let's hear it. Of course, I barely slept at all last night. What with all the dreadful storm, I resolved to go down to the library and occupy myself with a little reading. Upon entering, I saw from the light of my candle a man standing by the window. He shattered the glass by hurling a bust of Napoleon Bonaparte at it. Really now? Okay, Loughty. So not only was the glass not shattered from the outside, a bust of Napoleon Bonaparte. How the fudge would he know that it was Napoleon Bonaparte where all the other busts are covered? So the bust must have been here, see, like here on this table, on this display. He took it, he like unraveled it, took the sheet off, and then he threw it. So a bust used to smash the window. It is currently face down in the grass outside. Exactly. If someone broke from the outside, the bust would be in the house. And yeah. He smashed the window with a statue of Napoleon Bonaparte, you say? You quite certain of that detail? Absolutely. I can picture it, clear as day. Well, Mr. Loughty, I must say that you are one of very few. Oh, Miss Fox, you mustn't make me someone whose testimony is too perfect. What? How do you expect me to believe that you made out the face of the statue, but not the culprit himself? Well, I must have got a look at the statue afterwards in the light of day. Right. You just dug your own grave, Loughty. The statue is still buried, face down in the grass outside. It's impossible for you to have seen the face of the statue. Now wait just a minute. I misremembered. I saw the statue earlier before we all went to bed. Look around. Every other statue in the room has a sheet over it. No. There's only one reason you would know the identity of the statue that broke the window, Loughty, and that is that you are the one who threw it. Loughty? It finally makes sense. The lack of footprints outside, the fact that none of the potential suspects left the house. It's all because you wanted to create the illusion of a thief that never was. Well, what of it, Fox? My room has been searched, and as you yourself have said, it was impossible for me to leave the house. It is impossible for me to have concealed the skull having removed it. How can I be the thief when... then Fox, answer that. But he has to be the thief. If he was in the library last night and he smashed the window, what other explanation could there be? If I were the thief, why would I raise the alarm to my own death? I would have simply waited for the storm to die down before I made my escape. How do you square that against your pretty little theory, you Scotland Yard jack-in-office? What? Ma'am, he's wrong, isn't he? He's right. It doesn't make sense. And the fox is cornered. It was a good show, but it's over. Well then, let's hear it. Be a good girl and admit that you've run out of rope. There has to be something, one final piece of the puzzle that makes it all fit together. But what is it? I mean... So, okay, we still have to find the skull, that's the thing. Right? That's... The truth is that Tarquin Loughty isn't really Tarquin Browning? Browning? No. Okay, wait. Is the thief. He's telling the truth. Maybe he's Sherlock, right? That's the thing? It's not a thief, but neither is he innocent. Come again? We've established that Loughty was at the scene around the time of the theft. We also know that he broke the window. But it is impossible for him to have committed the theft. What sense does that make? It's quite simple, really. He didn't steal the skull because he couldn't. It had already been removed when he made his attempt.
Ah, rubbish. That's completely conjecture on your part. What motive would I have for stealing the skull anyway?
Well, I was hoping we would learn that from you, Mr. Kaylock.
What?
A little too convenient, isn't it? In your hour of need, Culpepper, a man with a silver tongue appeared. He told you that he could help you restore your fortune, that he would work with you every step of the way, all to gain your trust. Well, Mr. Kaylock, what do you have to say for yourself?
It was the butler.
What?
Your faithful servant, Culpepper. Just as I discovered the skull was missing, I heard footsteps approaching the library. If I had been caught, skull or not, there would doubtless have been consequences. I had already planned for Berrycloth to take the fall for the theft, so I went ahead with my plan, even if I could not have the prize. I should call the police here and now, you little... Ah, but you're not going to, are you? You're not an intelligent man, Culpepper, but even you realize that I can take you down with me.
What's he talking about?
He's talking nonsense. Don't waste your time. Miss Fox, I must thank you. You've thrown light on every shadow. I believe I can handle it from here.
I wasn't lying when I said that I was an admirer of your work, Fox. I delighted in the thought that I would be the one to pull the wool over your eyes. But, at the very least, you won't be taken in by this poor excuse of a lie, will you?
Surely you aren't going to listen to him. He's a crook, a criminal.
You still haven't told me why. Why? Why did I spend months establishing this fool's trust, all for the sake of that skull? Revenge, that's why. Culpepper mentioned that you and he had a falling out.
Okay, so he admits that he's Kaylock. Culpepper lied. To you, to me, to everyone he's ever known.
You can call me a villain if you wish, Miss Fox, but I've never been a traitor. Ah, by now I suppose we've come to the part where I tell you my sorry tale, haven't we? So sorry to disappoint you, but I'm not sure it's worth my breath. All you need to know is that this miserable little man took what was rightfully mine. And I've waited 20 long years for a chance at revenge.
Why should she listen to a scoundrel like you? That there's enough evidence to clamp you in irons.
You know as well as I that to bring the police down on this house...
What's all this then?
Oh, speak of the devil.
Fox, say something. You know that he's the one who broke the window.
Well, Fox, you have him? Quite so, Inspector. The man you see before you is none other than the notorious thief, Emil Kaylock. And yet we have established that it is impossible for him to be the culprit in this case. As he has said, he was caught during his attempt by Dryden. He would only be able to hide the skull in this very room. Which means that we have eliminated 2 of the 3 suspects. And when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Inspector Graham, I believe I have arrived at the conclusion of this little mystery. Allow me to enlighten you. Act 3. So it was Culpepper who staged the theft. The matter is clear to me. Kaylock, under the guise of Loughty, befriended Culpepper in order to set up this auction. It was all a ploy, of course, a means for him to steal the skull, and finally repaid the humiliation he suffered at Culpepper's hands so long ago. Berrycloth was invited to take the fall, while Kaylock made good his escape. But, unbeknownst to him, there was another plot afoot. Another person who planned for the skull to be stolen. The person who actually stole the skull from Culpepper was none other than Culpepper himself. The skull would fetch a high price, yes, but it wasn't enough. In order to restore his fortunes, Culpepper needed every purse in the land to be bidding, hence a staged robbery. Culpepper himself removed the skull from the library and hid it somewhere else in the house. Once you had gained enough infamy, you would miraculously recover the skull, and the auction would begin anew. But in your haste to remove the skull, the key fell from your hand. Maybe you later realized that you had dropped it, but by then it was too late. Sherlock had raised the alarm.
What an excellent bit of conjecture, Fox. But it's just that, conjecture. You have no proof, save for a key that I own found within my own home. Can you possibly prove that it wasn't there before the theft last night?
I can't.
You have proven yourself to be a little more than an upstart. Your only trick is to twist the testimonies of others. Without that testimony, you have nothing. I should throw you out here and now. Go on, little girl. Tell me why you shouldn't be cast out by your ankles.
You little... That's quite a turnabout, Mr. Culpepper.
I beg your pardon?
It hardly takes a mind like my mistress's to think that all of a sudden you don't want this investigation to continue.
Oh, right. Very well. I will give you one testimony, Miss Fox. And once you have seen that there is no fault to be found within, your little investigation will be over. I was in bed when I heard Sherlock give the alarm. I rushed down immediately and discovered the scene as he described. I went to the display case to see for myself. The key must have fallen out of my dressing gown then.
That's really all he's giving us. Unbelievable. It's all he needs to give us. As long as I can't falsify it, he's won. Can you?
Well, Miss Fox, I'm curious to see what you're going to come up with.
He's baiting me, and damn him, it's working. I'm Harriet Fox, not some pitiful hobknocker. I'll find a way to get through his armor.
My, if looks could kill. We're all waiting, Miss Fox. Where's the contradiction?
The contradiction in this testimony...
I don't need to prove it. Right?
It's quite simple, really. I don't need to prove it.
What?
What is a crime? Who am I to protect by revealing the truth? Sherlock's would-be jailbird has already gone free, and as for you, I suppose your plan was to advertise the mystery that even Harriet Fox couldn't solve. But I wouldn't advise it, because if you attempt a bubble around to the reporters, those same reporters will come to me for comment, and I will have plenty of comments to make. I came here because I thought that perhaps the halls of the Latin gentry would for once feature something more of an interest than the petty squabbles of the wholly inadequate. Alas, it seems there is nothing new under the sun. Inspector Graham, I'm afraid you're just in time to clear up the mess. And a fine mess it is indeed. Come along, Everly. Is that it then? Is there nothing more than we can do? There is nothing more we need to do. I can think of no better sentence for either of them than be tangled in the other's web. Then what has become of the skull of the ichthyosaur? Ah, that. Well, it's quite simple. The telegram I received confirmed my suspicions. It was not moved this entire time. It is to be found in the British Museum in London, and has been in there for nearly a century. Ever since it was excavated by a young woman named Mary Anning on the shores of Lyme Regis. A museum? Then the skull that Culpepper was trying to sell was fake, yes. Those two, Culpepper and Sherlock, they are like a double Ouroboros, two snakes each swallowing their other's tail. At any rate, whatever justice there is to be had has already been meted out. Sherlock cannot expose Culpepper's fraud without putting himself in the grip of the law, and as for Culpepper, I suppose he can continue his little charade much the same. He will claim to have somehow recovered the skull from the nameless thief, and then use the infamy to draw bidders to his little auction. You could expose him, but I'm not going to.
Why not?
Try then. I owe him that much. Perhaps he will be lucky enough to wait upon someone of greater character in time. Oh, because if Culpepper loses his fortune, then Dryden is like will be out of a butler job, I guess. So okay, right. What is it? You never told me about him. What was he to you, Hattie? A confidant, I suppose. He was my gay BFF. Come on. Like I said, we were in the same predicament. It was a comfort to know that I was not alone. You were worried, weren't you? It's silly of me.
Well, no, it's a little bit of jealousy. I mean, you know.
When I see you on a case, I can't help but feel that I'm just a mere maid to you. You are no mere maid, my dear Ida. If I were a wiser woman, I would value an ounce of your love far beyond the thrill of the hunt, or the accolades of a world filled with fools. As it is, I must confess I find them both rather satisfying. Of the two, I've been deprived of the one this day. Perchance the other may still be within our reach.
So they're just gonna go home and have some hot lesbian sex. Well, it probably wasn't. It's not gonna be that hot because it's the late 19th century. But that was the one. That was Harriet Fox and the Phantom Exotica. We technically, I mean, we figured out what happened, but we technically didn't, you know, get the case all resolved and you know, all nicely. But I'm hoping that, you know, maybe the fraud that Culpepper is capable of will be, you know, revealed, and he's not gonna, I don't know, he's not gonna fool more people with that skull. Hopefully, we'll have to see. But for now, that was the one. That was the full game. We got our, I guess we got our men, kinda. You know, no jail time, but it's fine. We solved the case. We went home with our lover, and I guess we're gonna have some whiskey. I don't know what, or some tea maybe. I don't know. And maybe we'll. After this, we're gonna have another adventure for Harriet Fox. That would be actually really cool, because this, I mean, for once, it's an interesting story. Like it all has very nice visuals. The setting is quite. I mean, the setting is like ripe for, I don't know, Harriet Fox, you know, going after, you know, Jack the Ripper or something like that, or you know, trying to solve other cases that Scotland Yard was not able to solve. Who knows? Maybe we'll see more Harriet Fox in the future. I'm hoping to, because that should be really cool. You know, maybe with more stuff though, more investigation than just, you know, like a few times where we have to choose the right option. But it's still a visual novel. It's not a point and click adventure game. Still really cool. Really nice visuals, and yeah, you can play it yourself if you'd like. You can show it to someone who might be interested in it. The game is available for free for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Just see the link in the description below if you want to get it. It will take you to the itch.io page. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up real quick. And if you like what I do here, consider subscribing. That would be actually immensely helpful. If you could subscribe, tell other people about the channel, spread the word, check out the back catalog too. Check out YouTube, check out BitChute, check out Odyssey if you want to see all the cool games that I cover. And after that, please take just half a minute to see the ways through which you can support me so I can continue doing gaming coverage and more for a very long time. The best way to support me is to go to cryptichybrid.locals.com and become part of my locals community. You can become a member for free. It's cryptichybrid.locals.com, or you can become a supporter, which gets you tons and tons of perks. Being a supporter, it's $4 a month, and for those $4 you get early access to videos, you get support only live streams, you get to decide what I play every Monday on live stream, you get behind the scenes content, you get to ask questions for future interviews that I do, and your questions will take priority during those interviews. You get behind the scenes content, you get to participate in game giveaways, and you see some videos that are not publicly available, some, you know, gameplay videos that I've done, including some more mature content, if you know what I mean. So if you want to see all those cool stuff, cryptichybrid.locals.com and become a supporter for $4 a month. Other ways to support me are all in the description below. You can either give me a direct donation through PayPal, there's a PayPal link in the description. You can donate cryptocurrency to the PayString link. You can donate bats, basic attention tokens, if you use the Brave browser, and check out any video of mine on YouTube or any post that I make on Twitter, @cryptichybrid, follow me there.
And last but not least, there's the Humble Store link in the description. Bookmark that, use it whenever you buy something from the Humble Store, and you're not going to pay anything extra. You're just going to tell that store to send me a small percentage of the money you spend there. That was everyone. That was Harriet Fox and the Phantom Exotica. And until the next time we see each other, have an awesome day.